Building what I wanna, innovate what I'm gonna. You can hate all you wanna, but you're still in your pajama. Now I ain't a prima donna, but I built what I wanna. You can say my vision's wrong, the tune of my song. Broke my thumb, bang into my own drum. Broke my thumb, bang into my own drum. Broke my thumb, bang into my own drum. Hootin' and clapping, boots I am a strapping, a click click clacking. Hurrah! Bootstrapping in America. Yeah, bootstrapping in America.
Thomas, we're back, my friend. Bootstrapping in America with our favorite, Doe.
So we're doing our own company today. And it's not because
Jules didn't do his job.
It's not because we ran out of things to do.
He always does his job. He does an excellent job.
He's the best in the whole business.
100%.
In fact, I probably wouldn't trade him for
15 of different ones.
I wouldn't trade him for Jay Cutler. Never. Christy Ross in the house. How are you?
Good. How are you guys?
Good. Thanks for coming in.
Sure.
Okay, we'll leave the cameras on Christy, please, guys. We've done enough damage for one
day.
Switch
to HD. Babies are stunned.
Very nice. I figured it'd be good to just tell our story and put our story out there.
Yeah. So I don't want to know. Everybody knows what Doe is. Well, first of all, how'd you come up with the name Doe?
So.
Oh yeah, I did. That's right. No, just go ahead.
Oh my God.
So this is gonna go right.
Oh boy. Here I'm gonna start way back. 3 years ago, because in 2011 we started Tasty Trade.
But you were only 18 then.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
You're right. You're giving away my age. But Tom wanted to make finance fun, and that's what we did. But we also wanted to break the traditional, break the barriers of traditional financial media, right? So we did that, but a year and a half into it, we knew we needed to add another dimension. Yeah. And that's when Doe came in.
Why isn't finance fun, though? Like, what's wrong with finance? Finance, you've been in the world of finance your entire career. Okay. Why do people take themselves so seriously, and why is there never any fun?
Well, you know what? People take their money seriously. I mean, people work hard for their money. So anything associated with it tends to be, something they're gonna take seriously. The problem is that a lot of people don't spend enough time learning about it, so they feel that they should give their money to somebody else that knows better, right?
No, I know the industry is serious about it, but I'm talking about like the individuals inside of finance take themselves so seriously. Not finance in general, of course that, but the individuals are just, everybody takes themselves so seriously when they don't really know anything.
I have to tell you, here, listen, I started in that path. I started in accounting and finance, right? And all the way back to college, they told you to wear light pink nail polish. You got to wear a blue suit or a black suit or gray. I still wear black. But it's one of these things where they're telling these kids these things right out of college, right? There are these rails you need to stay within. It was crazy.
I don't think I like the fact that you haven't stayed within the nail polish rails. Have you, Tony? Are you okay with that?
I'm appalled.
I'm appalled too. Because that was damn good information.
We'll talk about this on take it off sidebar.
How the name Doe come about?
Okay. So again, we wanted to stay in the realm of keeping finance fun, right, and make it approachable.
Sure.
And so I'll be really honest.
So you put Tom as your spokesperson?
I am approachable. Who's more approachable?
We're taking his daughter, Case, the younger version of Tom.
Beautiful. Much better.
But we actually really got lucky with the name. So we wanted to find partners that could help us market Doe, and already had kind of the customer base of millennials and knew how to scale a business. And so we became partners with Brad and Eric, the founders of Groupon with Lightbank, and we got lucky. They literally had this name. They had it. They bought it a long time ago, and it worked out. We partnered with them first.
So the truth is, we partnered just to get this name.
Shh. I didn't say that.
So when you think about Doe and you want to make finance fun, what does it do? How does Doe differentiate itself from any other platform or Toss for that matter, anything else? Like, why is Doe fun?
Doe is approachable, and it gives content that's entertaining, and yet you still learn something. I think it's probably one of the most important things is anybody who's going to spend their time watching videos or, researching anything. They want to be able to have a takeaway. They want to be able to learn something at the end of the day. But yet they still want to be entertained. It doesn't mean that they want to watch something boring.
So Dough is a technology platform, and whereas Tasty Trade is kind of the content piece to this company,
right.
Dough is the technology piece. This is your first crack at really running a technology company.
That's right. That's right.
So what do you think?
I love it. I love
Why?
it. It is so much more fun.
Why?
Because it's fast paced.
It's maybe more fun than accounting, is it?
Oh my God. Listen, I have to say that a CEO seat versus a CFO seat.
Yeah. What's the big difference?
Is far more exciting. Listen, back at Thinkorswim, I did a lot of the strategy as well, on top of needing to, take care of all the financials and everything. It's much more fun being on this side of the house where you're running a business, where you're, that is your day job, right? Yeah. Where it's fast paced. That's one of the beautiful things I love about technology and I love about the financial markets. And so you combine those two and I'm the happiest CEO around.
I know you haven't made a lot of mistakes since you were like 11
You're
or 12.
Right. Oh, I didn't either.
But when you were, Christy doesn't make a lot of mistakes, just in case you know. But anytime you build something new, it's your first crack at running a, like in this case, a technology
right. company,
as opposed to, a more of a business operation.
Right.
Like, what are some of the biggest mistakes you made? Like where you needed me to step in or something like that. No. What are some of the biggest mistakes, just from the growing mistakes? I think that's what people learn from.
Yeah. Okay.
And trying to trade at the same time.
Well, that's true. That's true. Although I fit that in.
To sign any of the checks.
Here, you know what? I will. I'll lay one big one right on the table.
Fine. Go ahead.
Okay. So one of the things that we did at Thinkorswim is we did a lot of word of mouth marketing. So we didn't spend a lot of dollars on actual marketing and advertising out there. And so one of the things that we did coming into Tasty Trade and Dough, we figured, you know what? We're getting older. You're getting older. And
are you putting me down?
No, are you
putting me to sleep?
No. But we're getting older. We've been around the block a few times. And we said, you know what, we're going to get out there. We're going to start to market, spend a little bit of money earlier. And we did it too fast. I say I really wanted to go out and push our message sooner than we were ready to. We were still kind of learning who we were. And so we spent a lot of money. And in my mind, I feel like it was a waste of money. We thought we knew who we were, but we were still developing.
So you mean you can't really trust marketing firms?
That's not what I'm saying.
Don't listen to him.
That's not what I'm saying.
So what I found interesting about watching kind of the growth of this company, Dough, which I don't have really that much to do with on a day-to-day basis,
right.
running the company. What I found really interesting about this is when you build, do you believe if you build a good product that people will come?
I do. I do believe that, genuinely, because the thing is if you build a great product, you're going to give them you're going to give those customers something to talk about and something to share. And that's your natural word of mouth marketing right there. So I do believe that. I still believe you need a little bit of help. I think that social media is good if used in the right way, because that's just a tool for word of mouth marketing these days.
What's the most difficult challenge going forward to keep is it about keeping the technology fresh? Is it about keeping the message / the content fresh? What's the most difficult challenge? Because it seems like technology today, although you can commoditize it, this is such a specialty point. So what's the challenge? Keeping the content fresh, keeping the support top notch, keeping the technology, pushing the technology as hard as you can. What do you need to be successful?
Yeah, here it's all a challenge and it's all a balance, right? But you have to be at the highest level for each and every one of those. You can't let one of those fall, meaning that you have to continue to drive new features with the technology. the content, you also need to continue to drive, more research and make it interesting. And again, help people learn something new.
Yeah, that's the obvious piece. But how do you do
Right.
that? How do you do that? How do you how do you keep coming up with, okay, this is cool technology? Or how do you keep coming up with, hey, this is cool content? How do you drive that process? Because it has to be your vision. At some point, you have to have the vision to say, hey, this is what we need. How do you do that?
Well, number one, you have to continue to have, people like Tom Sosnoff and slice you into like 15 people.
No. How do you do it?
I thought that's what he wanted to
At
hear.
the Field Museum already. I think they do it with like horses and stuff like that. I've seen that. Doesn't end pretty.
Yeah. No, what you need to continue to drive and test the boundaries in the research department on discovering new ways to trade and new things within the market. On top of that, you need to take that and continually wrap that into the technology. So they both continue to evolve and grow.
So ever since I met you, which is probably, we've been working together now over 10 years, right?
We have.
Okay. So at first you were a casual trader.
That's true.
You were like
And stock. Maybe selling a put here or there.
Selling a put here and there,
Yeah.
stock a little bit.
Yeah.
But now that you're on Doe, you've become, I would say you're a moderate active trader. Okay.
I would say so, yeah.
Okay. So how has that changed your level of engagement with respect to what you're building?
Oh, tenfold. I love Doe. I'm addicted to Doe. And if I didn't use it, I don't think that I could add any value to any of the future, developments within Doe. But because I use it every single day, I know what I need at the level of trading that I'm at. And then we seek input from everybody else around here to add other features that matter to them.
Is the primary design behind Doe that anybody can use it? Like, it doesn't matter. Like, there's no demographic, cultural, age, whatever. I don't even know all the different terms, but there's no, unless you're trying to trade a product that doesn't support or something like that.
Right.
It's not designed for a specific, quote, demographic. It's just, anybody can use it, right?
Right. We first came into this saying, hey, we want to tap into millennials. We want to make this approachable and fun. And really what there was a great byproduct that it really appeals to all generations, to all age groups. And the beautiful thing is that it provides a logical mechanical approach to investing, and it clears the noise, right? So it shows you what you should be focused on: your probability of profit, your return on capital, and only staying within liquid underlyings. And that's one of the beautiful things is you can follow the guardrails are there for you.
So how do you know? Do you have something or not? Like, I mean,
What do you mean?
Meaning that do you have something now that you think has that can be used by, like, when you build something new and you spend a lot of money in technology, you don't ever know if it's going to be adopted.
Right.
You don't
True.
know if it's going to be endorsed, if it's going to be used, if people are going to
Sure.
if people are going to like it. Do you have something?
I think we have something.
Okay.
I do.
That's a good thing.
I really do. And I believe it because I use it. I believe it because it has turned me from a casual trader to this semi-active trader, if you want to call it that, while I still have a day job.
To the number one ranked trader, well, if you don't count Tony from Mexico and Rob and the number one trader.
The whole.
He doesn't. You don't want to comment on that?
No, I'm not coming. I'm not touching that. Hey, the whole idea, what I really want to do is focus on since everybody listening is, I kind of talk about them as their own hedge fund managers and money managers, and I think of everybody as kind of their own entrepreneur. Like, what do you have in store for this company that will let it grow? Like, why hasn't anybody else done this? Why is this technology so differentiating at this point? Still, nobody's jumped on this. On the advisory side, nobody gets it, or at least I don't think anybody's come close. On the execution side, nobody either. Why is that? Why is this a standalone in a sea of all this other kind of garbage?
So first of all, it's a different message as a whole, and for someone to be touting this message one day and to flip over to the other side and tout a different message the next day, that's like turning the Titanic, right? So that's number one. Number two is that it's expensive It's expensive to run.
That's true.
Okay. And so we've seen a number of different companies out there try it and fail. So what I would say is that it's really about the combination of what we have. And it's going to take a number of years for anybody to truly catch up or replicate this, because it is so unique. We're carving out a brand new class is what we're doing.
What's the problem with big finance? Like, forget about Doe for a quick second. You're one of the few women leading a technology company, which in its own right is sad, and then especially if you talk about technology in finance, it goes down to, the number goes from whatever it was to 1/10 of that.
Right.
What's wrong with finance? Like, in general, what's wrong with big finance?
Right. And there's a number of different ways that I can answer that.
You can be as real as you want.
So here, I think that there have been, let's put it this way, fear has been put into the markets. And
what do you mean fear? Like fear that you don't know what you're doing?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And that, and so when anybody in any finance company, that analysts, big firms, the financial media, they talk about it as if you should be fearful as a do-it-yourself investor, and you end up pushing all of your money to somebody else to manage. And when it comes down to it, if they would focus on the things that mattered, if they would focus on the things that mattered, people would realize that it's not really that scary. And it's not something that you can predict, right? And a lot of people are out there actually trying to predict what's happening in the market.
Fear?
I would say fear is one of the biggest hurdles.
Fear is a giant conflict in the sense that you can't sell something unless you scare people into buying it. It's like insurance. If we had the choice of not to buy insurance, we wouldn't buy insurance. Mm-hmm. But we get told if we don't buy insurance, we're going to die in a gutter somewhere.
Right. That's exactly right.
So
bad things will happen.
Bad things will happen. Right.
Right.
And but I don't even know if that's the best example. But there's 100 other examples like that.
Right.
That's something that's a hurdle, that's a tough thing to break down.
It's a huge hurdle, right? But if we can actually provide something that's approachable and comfortable, and there's a logical mechanical approach, right? It's at least a gateway for people to not complete. You're never going to completely remove the fear, but you're going to minimize it.
One of the concepts on Doe, which I think is really interesting, is that you can follow other traders as an engagement tool. Right. And then that process of following those traders and now following your trades is interesting. Why do you think that the industry's never gone to that approach? Because you're not asking you to follow professionals, you're asking you to follow just other people, other personalities. Well,
then it would take away what they've built up as why they're elite or why they are the experts, right? So that's number one. I think that a point I want to make about us doing that on Doe and having people to follow is we want to show that anybody can do it. It doesn't matter what level you are.
But does it make you nervous if you lose money on a couple of trades and then the next thing everybody goes, oh, she doesn't know what she's talking about? Like, does that make you nervous?
You know what? I would have to say that initially. That's certainly in the back 100%. Of my head for sure.
It was hard for us to get over the Bob the Hurdle thing and the whole, Bob the Trader hurdle.
Absolutely. But you know what? That makes it real. That's one of the beautiful things about Taste, Trade, and Doe is we are 100% transparent. And that's one of those things that
Except when you yell at him behind the glass doors. Can
you see that?
That we keep in the office. Because right now, you guys, this is like a love fest, okay? He's saying something, you're agreeing, you're talking, this is beautiful, everything like that. Now, I've been here since the beginning. I'm watching you two behind closed doors. You guys are butting heads all day long.
It's just an act.
Yeah, unbelievable.
It's just an act.
This is what it's really like.
Keeps all the children in line. Totally fine. Keeps everybody.
Whatever.
Mommy and Daddy are not fighting.
Right.
Just fine.
Having a discussion.
Just having a discussion. Every once in a while, it just scares the children. That's all.
Got it.
The challenges of the challenge is Chicago is a financial hub. If you're going to look at anywhere around the country and you're talking about kind of financial hubs, fintech hubs, Chicago's definitely one of those, quote, fintech hubs.
Absolutely.
How do you keep the talent? How do you keep acquiring the talent necessary? Because that's a challenge in its own right.
It is a challenge.
And how do you keep acquiring the talent firm-wise? And then how do you keep the talent, engaged, interested,
right.
About getting into what they're building?
Yeah. So first of all, Chicago absolutely is a hub for innovation, right? For financial technology. I mean, we are the derivatives, hotspot. On top of that, one of the things that Chicago has done is we have a number of incubators here. So we're cultivating that innovation, right? On top of that, and to quote the mayor, we have 150,000 new college graduates every year that migrate or are in Chicago already. So we already are continuing to increase that talent pool every single year. In addition to that, probably our best way to acquire talent is word of mouth. And through the great people that we have here today, every single one of them is a person to tap into to bring in more talent, right?
Do you think that makes companies generally more nervous? Because sometimes people are reluctant to, I'm not going to hire your sister, your brother, your son, your sib, your friend, whatever it is, because then you start to lose this control thing. But I think that for us, the best available player has always worked, or like you said, word of mouth marketing.
I have to say too that 90% of it is attitude. If you have someone who comes in and has a positive attitude, they're willing to try a number of different things. You can teach them a lot of things. You had mentioned about retention, right? I think the other thing too is allowing first of all, understanding what's important to that employee, what your needs are, of course, but allowing them to try different things so that they can actually grow and develop.
What's your retention rate here?
Incredibly high.
Like what?
We've only lost a couple of people, and the people that we've lost were because of personal moves. Meaning either their spouse, was moving, or they had a different opportunity.
You train somebody and then you lose them.
Absolutely.
All right, I'm good. Tony, any other questions for Christy Ross?
Sure. If you'd like to speak to Christy personally, you can reach her. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you so much for coming in, Christy.
As you can see, we have the office under construction right now, and it's because we had to build a trophy room for Christy.
You do have more awards than anybody else here at Doe.
So they're for the company. They're for the company and all the employees here.
Really, because the guy who's building it says it's a shrine, but that's okay.
We'll take a quick break. We'll be back in 3 minutes. We got Good Trade, Bad Trade next. You listen to Taste Trade Live.